We are departing the confines of one of the world's biggest cities in rather polluted, grey and cold conditions for the more temperate climes of Krabi in Thailand for a 14-day sailing adventure.
Rome in the middle, lobby in the basement, time the riddle, racing on the go-kart, hey skinny lips, feeding on the tits of lazy boy bandits, waiting in the sun, bleeding from the wounds, from cutting to the chase, from beating round the bush that burns when we embrace, embraces for the teeth that long for what's beneath.
So here we are, morning one, and it's 7 AM, not a breath of wind, and we are provisioning and general preparation. So American, tell us what's going on down here.
Well, every time before we go out to use the boat, we have to check all of the fluids and make sure that the engine is in good shape. And we also have to refill the propane tanks and purchase groceries for the trip to come. One of the great things about provisioning in Thailand is how incredibly cheap everything is. For 2 people, 2 weeks on the boat usually costs about $300 US for all of the food, alcohol, and supplies that we need. With the boat checked out, provisions put on board, water tanks refilled, and the fuel tanks topped up, we head out from Krabi Boat Lagoon to Ko Pu, also sometimes referred to as Ko Jum.
It's Tuesday the 2nd of February. As we've probably already established at some point today, all of our shopping. And here we are heading out on the somewhat unnamed river.
So it's the second day out, and it's Wednesday morning around 9 AM, and we are sailing from Ko Pu down to Ko Lanta, which is here, and we have beautiful conditions, 15 knots of wind, making about 6 knots, 5.5 knots, and we've also got some trolling line out to try to catch some lunch or some dinner for tonight. I guess if they're fishing. Did you catch anything? Did you catch any fish?
Later that afternoon, we arrived at the southern tip of Ko Lanta, where there's a beautiful little bay and one of our favorite bars in Thailand, the Take It Easy bar. Unfortunately, we did not catch any fish, so it was sandwiches for lunch made with bread we'd brought over from Shanghai.
Yeah, so we are sitting here off of Ko Lanta on the southern tip of the island. On the beach there is the Take It Easy bar, and out there to the west is the sunset. We had an excellent day of sailing today with 15 and 20 knot winds, and we hit boat speeds of 6.5 and 6.8 knots. And tomorrow we're thinking about heading further south to Ko Muk for some diving. But before heading off to Ko Rock, we decided to enjoy a bit of massage, pizza, beer, and that favorite of Australian pastimes, rock throwing. The sail down to Ko Rock was fast and bumpy. Once again, we had the trolling line out to see if we could catch some fish, and this time we had a bit more luck.
Here, our first barracuda! Let's get a look at that bad boy. You beauty!
Arriving at Ko Rock later that day, it was time for Dan to put his Aussie Barbie skills to the test. That fish turned out to be a beautiful Spanish mackerel, which fed us for the next 3 days. This noisy little beast is our dive compressor. It fills a tank in about 15 minutes, and so for the two of us, it's about a half hour between fills. The water clarity at Ko Rock is absolutely amazing. We were in 20 meters of water, but could see to the bottom quite clearly. We had a couple of dives and then had to pull up the anchor and get underway because there was a massive weather system forecasted to move in, and we did not want to be caught out in the open when that arrived.
So, this morning we have just left Ko Rock. We've chosen to go for a 6-7 hour sail to Phi Phi. And perfect conditions other than 1 to 1.5 metre swells and everything is 45-degree angle, but that just makes it look a bit better.
Dan, what's going on?
Well, we've arrived at Phi Phi Lay, and we're trying to work out where we should moor based on the wind, which is about to die behind the lee of the island.
Yeah, we're gonna need the motor.
Yeah, like now.
Alright, Dan, so what's going on over there? What are you doing?
We're doing a little tomato and olive and chili pasta sauce. Probably shouldn't have just rubbed my eye with a little bit of Thai
And then
chili.
picked your nose?
And then pick my nose and then, you know, dabble in the sauce, but it'll make it better. I don't know what else to tell you.
The next morning at Phi Phi Lay gave us a chance to take in what is one of the most popular tourist destinations in this area. The beach that you see here is the same one that was used to film the movie The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. When we'd arrived the previous day, this area was packed full of dive boats, speed boats, and every other kind of boat imaginable. But when we woke in the morning, it was just us and a few other sailboats.
Here we are.
Recording?
I am.
You gotta ask the question, you know, what are we doing? Where are we going? Go on, man.
What are we doing? Where are we going, American?
We are sailing between Phi Phi, as you can see behind us, Phi Phi Lay, and Racha, which is in front of us, but you cannot see.
Beyond the 4-meter waves.
Yeah, we're in about 14 knots of wind, sailing downwind. We've got waves that are getting up to about 2 and 3 meters in height and rocking the boat pretty badly. But yeah, we're making 5.5, 6 knots, and we hope to be at Racha by 1 p.m.
The sailing between Phi Phi and Racha was probably one of the most intense that we experienced during this trip, with 3 and 4 meter waves. Probably not as intense for us as it was for this poor guy in this longtail.
So, American, where do we find ourselves tonight?
So tonight we are on Racha, and I've lost track of how many days we've been here, but it's been a few. And we're out here enjoying the fabulous sunset while moored with tons of sailboats surrounding us. And we have, today's Tuesday, we have still Wednesday to hang out here, and then on Thursday we're going to try to make our way up to Phuket. We managed to fix the autopilot, so the boat's in good shape. And before then, we're going to try to make ourselves in terrible shape and then get back into good shape to sail up there and meet up with out there?
It's a little windy, it's a little wet, but otherwise very good fun. Navigating these 3-metre swells in 22 knot winds.
Arriving safely in Naiharn Bay, we enjoyed pizza, beer, and the fine company of our friend Jamie aboard Follow the Boat. Our time on Phuket signaled the looming end of our sailing adventure, and we had to start to make our way back east towards the marina. Sailing to windward was a bit of a chore. Our first stop was a little island called Mai Tan, where we spent the night spearfishing, snorkeling, and relaxing.
Debating whether or not to put the last of the brie in the tuna bake or whether to save that for gnocchi tomorrow night. No, tortellini.
What's the temperature like in there?
It's a mild 88 degrees Celsius.
The next morning, we had another sail to windward between Mai Tan and Phi Phi Islands. Though these islands are only about 15 miles apart, we ended up sailing something closer to 30 and spent about 7 hours making this short jump. Tide at Phi Phi Islands is famous for going out several hundred meters at low tide, so we were forced to stay ashore and drink beer until it came back up.
It's unfortunate that I have to report today is our last day, and we are 7:24 in the morning, leaving Phi Phi gone, and hopefully we get some quality wind to take us all the way home, and we avoid ferries in the process, of which there's one coming around the corner now.
Returning to the marina brought to an end an epic sailing, diving, and fishing journey, during which time we covered nearly 200 nautical miles, visited 7 islands, and drank a ton of beers.